This looks like a nice railing, but as you can see, it has some structural issues. And we need to fix that because we need this to be a nice solid railing so that Grandpa doesn't fall down. These posts are solid wood and the rest of this is vinyl. So with all of our screws out, we're gonna see exactly how this is mounted. They just took 2 brackets on each side. We're not replacing with a new product because if we wanted to replace with a new product, we'd have to replace those other 2 sections. We're fixing what we have. Okay, screws into maybe an anchor or something. I don't know. Oh yeah, right there. Like a wallboard anchor. It worked until it didn't. The screw never gave away. It was just the screw and the system wasn't very strong. We want to go ahead and put the railing back in the same spot. One thing that we wouldn't want to do that is bad is to straddle this joint. So you either want to be on this pad or you want to be on this pad. We're going to put it right here. One other problem. They want to try to keep the walkway nice and wide, so they don't really want to give up a whole bunch of room. What we're going to do is we're going to use a metal post welded to a metal plate. Traditionally, you've probably seen it before in other videos. We'd use a 4-hole plate. Well, with being close to the edge of the concrete, we don't have a lot of meat here now. We're going to risk blowing out this side of the concrete, and then that anchor is going to give way and not hold, and we're going to be back in the same position that we were just in. We came up with something just a little bit different. I mean, that's great. It really is. But what we came up with, how about just one plate with a hole in the center? So they tacked the nut on when they built this for us. We're going to drive the anchor in the ground. We're going to screw this post onto that anchor bolt, and we're going to sleeve over it and put our vinyl post back. So then we're not at risk of blowing out this concrete pad. That's the whole reason behind this. Right now, we don't know where the center of that post is. That is the center of our concrete. So this is where our 1 hole needs to go. And as you can see, that's already kind of close to the edge of it. I will tell you that that is nice to see, that is a nice thick chunk of concrete. A 6-inch slab, that alone does make me a little excited. We're going to use just a wedge style anchor just to make sure that I got the right size. Yes, we're good. And I realize that we're not using this plate. We need to set the anchor before we put it on this post. So we're going to use this plate to set our anchor. Then we'll pull the nut off, set this post on there, go from there. Some of you guys may have never even seen this anchor. As I spin the nut down, it's going to pull this anchor up. This piece is going to go up, causing it to expand in that hole, not allowing the anchor to come out of the concrete. That's why they call this a wedge anchor. And this particular anchor I'm using is a 1/2 inch by 4.5. And then don't forget, there's a nut inside of this pipe on top of the plate, and that's why I'm able to thread this. And the other thing that they were supposed to do is they were only supposed to tack that nut on there so that hopefully we can break that tack and get that nut free and have 2 different pieces and still be able to shim underneath that plate if we have to. We have the steel pipe with a 3/4 inch socket coming out this way and a 1/2 inch drive end coming out that way. So this is just a really big, long, deep set socket. And the reason that we're not using a whole bunch of extensions, well, what happens if your extensions fall apart in the post? Now you really have a problem. So the tacks did not break. And the other thing that we could do is we could just not tack that nut on there and just put some plastic on the end of the socket to hold that nut in there, and then put the post on and put the nut in afterwards. This is harder than it should be because I couldn't get that nut to break free inside. And I'm just trying to get that thing to flex just a little bit to be able to sneak this shim in there. I mean, as you can see, this thing is tight. Maybe just a little bit this way. So since the tack didn't break, if I did it again, I think I would not weld the nut on the plate and just leave that open hole, and then take some magnets inside the socket or a piece of grocery bag and then just wedge that nut in there. And it might be kind of tricky, it might take a couple times, but unfortunately this is the way that we're doing this one. So now that we have that done, and these shims are awesome. They're my favorite shim I think I've ever found. They're called the Easy Shim, and they have all these nice breaks in it so that way you can break it nice and easy. And they're 100% plastic, so they're not gonna shrink, they're not gonna expand. Very nice shims. So our next thing that we need to do is we need to figure out how wide. We are 69 1/8. And what I have here, post stiffener. It's a square inside post stiffener for a 4x4 vinyl post. And these are just gonna slide over. I wanna kind of put this right where that bottom rail is so that the screws kind of interlock it so you can't pull up on that post. About 5 inches up. So what that's doing is it's compressing the ears of the adapter and causing it to grab tight to hold that post so you can't spin it. And this one's just gonna go right at the top. So this post is too long. I'm just gonna cut it down to size. And as you can see, it just slides right over the adapter, right over the pipe, right over the second adapter, right over the plate. You can't even tell anything's there. And then it's nice and solid. Now we're gonna do this all over again right there. We're gonna go 69 1/2. So we're gonna be right there. 73, put it in those marks there. And really all I care about is my corners. My biggest problem right now I have a hole right there. We might have to give up on our hole and take that hole, because if not, that could really ruin our anchor if that gives away. And hopefully this one breaks. That one broke. Now I can actually shim it up the way that I need to. This is exactly how the first post was supposed to work. But even though it didn't, we still overcame our problem, solved it. Not an issue. I'm just resting this against my knee so that way the post can't spin if it wanted to. And there's that one. So we got these two posts done. Okay, time to take this apart. Now, as far as this product, I couldn't tell you who makes it. That's not ours. We're here to fix the post. Oh! No, just kidding. Gotcha. Screws we're gonna use are stainless steel. And that one went right into that stiffener, just like we had hoped. We're gonna do the same thing on this side. Trim this down just a hair. We have our bottom rail. We're gonna do the exact same thing for our top rail, and we wanna make it match this. The bottom is gonna be at 30 inches. As far as like this product, I'm pretty sure I know where it came from. A big box store. I'm not all that impressed of how it only is held by 2 screws. As far as like this, compared to what we had to deal with, this is awesome. And I'm not endorsing this product from the big box store, but I am saying we got it a whole lot better than it was. One thing that we could have done around these posts is we could have done a trim ring, but it would look a little out of place because there's no trim rings on the other posts. But I did bring it just to show you. Feels good. A little bit of glue on that. And now Grandpa has a nice railing, a nice solid railing that he's not gonna have to worry about falling down. It's Dan with SWI. We are Wyoming's fence and gate. Whoa, hold on. Soon to be the nation's fence company. We hope you have a good dang day.